Iko Nini. So, happy new year. Najua leo ni siku ya kwanza ya wase wengi kurudi job. Na pia mimi unacheki jo nimerudi job kwa umekuwa ukicheki like for the past few I'd say since Christmas sijakuwa nikipost consistently, but now I'm back to work. And hoping this year 2026 itakuwa prosperous kwangu na pia kwako. And kama kawaida vile musemaga, thanks for the support. But good morning. And tunaanza hii na 2026 inaanza na abductions ama ni arrests, political arrest. And these are the sort of arrests that I feel like we don't need. And what am I talking about? Nabonga jua umse anaitwa Harrison Mumia. So Harrison Mumia anakuwaga like the head of atheists, some atheist association of Kenya, something like that. And alibaki amepost like a certain video. I think this was on 31st of December. Na ilikuwa ni AI. Na hiyo AI kumeandikwa ipo siku. Alafu basically kile inaonekana ni unabaki umecheki ni kama kuna wasa wanakuja wanaseti Ruto Kibare, alafu wanabaki wamemchukua wanaenda na yeye, wanamseti handcuffs, alafu wanaishia na yeye. And apparently this ended up leading to his arrest. And a few things that I have to say. Do I think it was what can I say, wise for him kuseti AI? I don't think so. Like, what does this help? And what is Ruto getting arrested for? That's one of the things that I'd also want to know. Yes, in 2026 I'm still asking that. And so there's that. Cause kuna some kwa kinibamba sana. I think ilikuwa ni bado ni umsa naitwa nani? Ilikuwa ni Gaido alikuwa zile zo, you've seen what has happened to the president of Venezuela. Ruto is next. I'm like, no, he's not. Doesn't work like that. There's no oil up for kujia. Because all I say, they come for if they have something to gain. So for example, there was a time that there was a rumor that Uganda had gold worth trillions. If that was to be confirmed, that would be very bad news for Museveni. Why? Because all of a sudden, America would be like, damn, Uganda needs democracy. Oh, Uganda. Then unasikia Kainerugaba ashagrabiwa usiku jo. Kainerugaba ashagrabiwa. Okay, damn. Usiku wakaenda naye kula naenda naye. But of course, I don't think your story, your gold worth trillions of dollars was actually true. So now, it comes to the stories of Harrison Mumia. How did I end up knowing this story? End up nikijua through Levi Munyeri. Najua Levi Munyeri anakuwa ni a friend of the show na pia ni mse fulani wa nguvu kabisa. So yeye pia ndio lawyer wa umse. So Levi alikuwa ameandika nini? Alikuwa ameandika Harrison Mumia was arrested on 31st of December after the DCI invaded his house. The arrest was due to his online criticism of Ruto. His phone was confiscated and he's not been arraigned in court. He's currently being held at Muthaiga police station. Then at Atheist KE. Alafu pia alibaki ameendelea akasema my client was arrested for allegedly posting AI images. On Friday, the DCI took him to Milimani Locals, where the ODPP declined to approve the charge sheet. He was granted a police bail of 10,000 shillings that was later cancelled on instructions from above. Then ikakuwa unconstitutional. So, isn't some of those things that Ruto does that I don't understand? And by Ruto, I mean Ruto the institution. That means close friends of his and everyone else around. These AI images, just ignore them. They do what? See, because I'm a politicians mushindagwa now. 1 minute they'll tell you that online means nothing and kwa ground ni vitu ni different. Then the next minute they do something like this and you're there wondering like, why are you doing this? This is unajua inafanya tunaongea juu story, otherwise we'd not be talking about this. Because what would we be talking about? What we'd be talking about is Prophet Owuor. Because Prophet Owuor is one of those people who, one of those conmen who I feel ended up flying too close to the sun. And what I mean by that is you can run a con game for so long, but you run it in a good way. How do you run it? You have all these people that come to your crusades and they get healed. And no one knows where they come from. People just see them getting healed and these people go away. But now, when you start involving doctors, and it seems like these are legit doctors, that's when you end up bringing too much scrutiny on yourself. And you don't need that. You're a miracle worker. And as a miracle worker, you don't need too much scrutiny. So kwa the Nation, yes, NTV, walikuwa report. This was on Saturday. ilikuwa ni KMPDC condemns miracle healing claims, na ikakuwa ni KMPDC condemns faith-based healing claims made by medics at Prophet Owuor's crusade in Nakuru, says they are unverified and it vows action once ongoing probe is complete. So that's what happened. Najua iraya ilibaki hold a certain crusade. I think ilikuwa inasemekana ni from 30th kwa 30th and 31st, something like that. You know me and crusades, you'll never find me there. Sina business. Why? Because the laws of nature are never suspended. This is one of the things that I'd want you to understand. I know you've heard the word miracle, but miracles don't happen. I know it's sad, it's bad reality, especially to start your 2026, and this guy called Mafrika is still preaching this to you. Miracles don't happen. If you hear that someone was diagnosed with cancer and then someone akawaombea alafu wakahil, just know that that person didn't have cancer in the first place. And if they had cancer, they still have it even after the prayer. Why? The laws of nature don't happen like that. Does it mean that cancer can be cured? Yes, it can be cured through some sort of medication. Najua, can be African herbs. Yes, that can happen. Can be Western medicine, can be Chinese medicine, but some medicine has to go in. Prayer is not a medicine. That's just words. And this guy has been running this con game. Why? Because it makes him live a soft life. Kuna hii picha moja ya msee akiwa ndani ya Rolls Royce jo. Kale kandevu kako hivi. Science, enjoying science at its best. Kusahau ila waga ni scientist, unajua. And ila hata kabla to go into hizi prayers zake, I don't know where should we start. Should we start in Venezuela ama should we start in here in Kenya? Let's start in Venezuela. Of course, the biggest news hii wiki imekuwa ni US, walibaki wameishia Venezuela na wakabaki wamegrab the president Maduro na wakabaki wamempeleka US. Alafu hii ilibaki, I mean, remind one thing. Kama ukiwatch Iko Nini from day one, you remember there's one thing that I normally say, and I've said this thing very many times. Amupenda sana kukuotua na my brothers. So kuna bro wangu mmoja ule aliwahi work for some time in Iraq, and nakumbuka like after, I think it was the first time ile alikuwa amerudi Kenya on holiday, alisemaga kitu fulani that stayed with me. I don't even know if he remembers that, but I remember akiniambia that after kuona how American soldiers were behaving in Iraq, haamini that any African country is a sovereign country. So nikamuuliza why? Afu akaniambia that according to him, countries like America just let us be, but if they were to decide today that they want to take over, there's nothing we could do about it. Najua even Prophet Owuor would not save us with his prayers, and that's what it happened to Maduro. So Maduro last year alibaki amecall for prayers. So hii ilikuwa hata featured kwa nini wasa naitwa Religion Unplugged, walibaki wamereport joy story. Ilikuwa ni Venezuela's church leaders call for prayer following Maduro's arrest. So wakabaki wame-go down. Ilikuwa ni as President Maduro is being transferred to New York to stand trial for drug trafficking and terrorism crimes after having been captured early this morning by the US forces on the orders of Donald Trump. A series of calls of prayer have been issued by evangelical leaders and church organizations in response to the situation the country is experiencing. Is this about drugs and terrorism? So this is about oil, najua, but that's a story for another day. Saizi not deal na ira inaitwa Prophet Owuor. So ikabaki mendelea. In recent months, Maduro sought to draw closer to the evangelical church, as occurred last November when the president convened church leaders for a time of prayer for peace in the face of threats from Trump. Skei, ilikuwa in the face of threats from Trump. Then kendelea. At the event, which was broadcast live on state television from the Simon Bolivar Hall in Miraflores Presidential Palace, Kenyan pastor David Edward Owuor laid hands on Maduro and declared that you will reject the enemy who's going to attack you and you will have victory in the name of Jesus. Alafu, literally jo, iraya ili travel up to Venezuela. Alafu ikabaki lay hands on a dictator. I have to respect religious conmanship, because one thing I can assure you, everything that I'm saying, Prophet Owuor knows. Prophet Owuor 100% knows he can't heal you. He 100% knows he can't save Maduro. And the fact that he goes there, hoping that there is no more Africa in that administration, because if there is a more Africa, itakuwa Owuor, umetoka kumwombea. Umesema Trump hata shika sawa, sasa kaa hapa tu Venezuela mpaka hii threat ya Trump ishe. Kuwa tu kituambia kila siku the Conmanship, ndege ya US ikikuja tunaenda pia na Owuor huko US. So that would be. So the fact that he knows he can't do these things and he still goes and lays his hands on a dictator, you have to respect that. Hajua, like, because as I keep saying, you'll find there's one person in that regime who's like me, and things can turn super ugly super fast. So wacha tuachira ya ikilay hands on Maduro. Of course, let me usemaga the greatest ama the most useless human invention, aka wacha tucheki.
Esta nación, proteger toda la tierra de Venezuela. Incluso como usted me ha mostrado un sueño, usted va a echar al enemigo. El enemigo no se acercará, usted siempre será glorificado. Yo he decretado hoy victoria three times. 3 veces en el poderoso nombre de Jesús. Amén.
Thank you.
So Maduro jo alikuwa na believe in nonsense. Jo akabaki ame believe that prayer items from Donald Trump. And the question would be, did the Iraqis pray? Did the Afghans pray? Ama that's where you justify and say they pray to the wrong God. Najua, you can always justify that. But okay, so we'll say the Iraqis and the Afghans and maybe the Syrians and even the Palestinians prayed in quotes to the wrong God. But then Venezuela is a Christian nation, so they are praying to the right God. And did that stop the US from grabbing Maduro? No. But now back to this dude. So this dude decides to hold this funny crusade, and in this funny crusade medics come out and they claim that he's healed people of things like HIV. And as I keep saying, the laws of nature are never suspended. So for Mseka Mimi, this is nothing. And I remember when I saw that, I was sad, because I was like, we live in a country that this is acceptable. Na chikimse kama nani anaitwa nani umse wa Rwanda alisema hii nonsense has to stop. So akina Owuor hawezi enda huko kuclaim nonsense. But here in Kenya we'll just let them be, because we assume that it's hurting no one, but it's actually hurting someone. That's why nakumbuka like majuzi when I was talking about this story, I talked about a woman who died. Why? Because alitolewa kwa hosi akapelekwa for these prayers, and of course these prayers don't work. So what ended up happening? This woman lost her life. Alafu akabaki nini. But cheki, wacha cheki vile hii story kwa reported.
A 2-day crusade led by preacher David Owuor that saw a number of Kenyans purported to have been healed from different illnesses paraded has raised questions on the role of medical practitioners who were present in the NDA crusade in Nakuru.
My name is Elijah Ochieng.
Majina yangu ni Elijah Ochieng.
I'm a senior clinician from Siaya.
My name is Dr. Lerionka Albert.
Majina yangu Dr. Lerionka Albert.
I am a consultant eye surgeon.
My name is Dr. Moi Kibet.
Jina langu Dr. Moi Kibet.
From Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital.
My name is Dr. John Mureithi.
Jina langu Dr. John Mureithi.
I'm a consultant general surgeon.
The preacher paraded a number of people who he claimed were HIV positive, but had since been declared HIV-free courtesy of miracles performed by him. The preacher...
So, ndio kitu moja, and this is a challenge to Prophet Owuor. If there is someone who can turn people to believe your word, it's me. So my challenge would be very simple. I provide you with the sick people. You heal the sick people. You are a billionaire by right now because you've convinced a lot of people to give you their money. That means if I give you some sick people, they can even live with you and you pray for them every single day. Till one day uniambie now they are healed. Alafu tunakuja, test those people. If they are healed, I'll be the first one as Prophet Habakkuk to sing your name and be like, Prophet Owuor, say it the truth. Cheki. But as long as it's you and your crowd, we've seen this trick with Akina Benihin. Najua, we know this trick. We've seen it with everyone. We've seen it with Kanyari. We've seen it with whoever claims to heal people. We've seen this. Saizi mse wetu uko Lovi, yuko charged na Okay, kuna a woman ulikuwa mpelekea charges za ngono. Why? Pia wewe heal watu. So we know these things of people healing people. But the simple thing would be for you to go to a hospital. But since you can't go to a hospital, we can identify sick people and you pray for those sick people. And if you heal them, tutaongea hapa. But hii story ya unatuletea watu sijui the thank you prophet of God, I was HIV positive, you prayed for me. Kwenda huko. Alafu another thing right now is ARVs zina exist zile, if you take these ARVs, they push your viral load so low that you might test negative while you are still positive. So even HIV itself, we can't use that as, because you unaweza take drugs ibaki imepush. So we need real stuff. Is it cancer? Umeheal. Is it mlemavu? Na just check it. Because kitu agafani, is it blindness? Yeah. Because like one of the things ile aso fanyaga ni mtu kuaga healed blind. So mtu anafungua macho. Nambo unaona? Yes, naona. Hiyo ni color gani? Red. Red? Then you come to realize that blind people don't even know how black looks like. Interesting. Why? Because scientifically it's been proven that blind people see nothing. They don't see black. You see, since we can see, me and you, we can see. So we know how black looks like. Blind people don't know how black looks like. So whatever we assume that they see black, because tukifunga macho, we see black, then they see nothing. How does nothing look like? I don't know. But they see nothing. That's very interesting. How do we know that? Because of science. Okay.
IKONINI. So the festive season is here. Na LemFi wako na a very great offer kwako. Abaki umesign up ukitumia the promo code IKONINI, and on your first transaction ya $50 ukisend home unabaki umepata a $20 sign up reward. Najua $20 sign up reward on your first transaction of $50 only. Why? Because it's the festive season. Baki umechangamka, tumia promo code IKONINI, ingia LemFi. Why? Upate the most competitive exchange rates. Alafu pia inakuwaga ni chap like transactions ziko instant. Changamka haraka LemFi, international payments for everyone. IKONINI.
But wacha tuendelee na stories za Prophet Owuor.
The preacher also claimed to have cured other chronic illnesses.
Tuna habari moto moto. HIV has been deleted. Ukimwi umeponywa.
Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale says even as the ministry recognizes the role of spiritual nourishment in the lives of citizens, matters of health and life must be scientifically proven.
Napo najua nani anaitwa nani? Duale has to be diplomatic because pia Duale hataki ku-offend Christians. Najua religion inakuwa very sensitive. But the interesting thing is Farouk naye anakuja with the protection of the president. Israel kwa IKONINI. I'm calling it like it is, but wacha tusikize Duale.
We have directed the regulator, Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council to do a thorough investigation on those medical practitioners. If they cannot verify scientifically, we will be forced to cancel their license.
CS Duale said Preacher Owuor, who is also a licensed doctor by KMPDC, will be investigated together with other medics seen backing Owuor's miraculous healing claims.
So Iraya sikuwa najua that inakuwaga a licensed doctor, because I knew of course he was a scientist. And there's one thing I've said here on the podcast, that even as a scientist here in Africa, if you could somehow come up with a cure for cancer or anything, and ulikuwa nataka kupata domob, you'd have to shikanisha na religion. You'll make more money because wasata tokea. It's just the way religion works in Africa, najua. And so hii raya inakuwa na medical license, na saizi the medical license is under threat. And this is the interesting thing. The doctors wale walitokea hapo and they claimed that this guy had healed people. Wapia nasemekana they might lose their licenses, and with that it creates a very interesting scenario, because now if you're going to lose your livelihood, you can come out and tell us the truth. You can be like, you know what, this guy paid me and that's why I lied, and with that you can save your license. Or if I'm Owuor and I'm worth millions of dollars or maybe billions of shillings, can just pay you off and you resign and go into the sunset. Plus this is Kenya, you might lose your license for a few whatever itakuwa officially kwa list ya KMPDC, but you'll still get work somewhere. This country is corrupt like that. But it's interesting to see what's going to happen, because all these claims can't be backed by science. All these stories are blah 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 has been healed, blah blah blah. Nothing like that happened. But wacha tuendelee.
Practicing licensed practitioner, you cannot make unsubstantiated, unverifiable, scientifically, clinically untested.
Ukiona pale binadamu ameabudiwa, anaoshwa mkono, anaoshwa miguu, anaoshewa barabara, hiyo barabara ni barabara ya kuelekea kwa shetani.
Masikia hiyo jo? Hiyo ni barabara ya kuelekea kwa shetani. Jo, yani Raya imeshikana na president iko nene. Hakuna kitu unaweza tuambia, because this is the other interesting thing uchekigi. If I like ishia pahali, hiyo barabara waga inaoshwa. Najua, like this is a man of God. Hafi na kujaga na ma Rolls Royce, cheki jo. Soft life. Yeah. Ma Cadillac Escalade, soft life. But poor people wanatoa pesa yao, wanaipatia. Of course, some rich women pia doing that ish. Nimekuwa nimecheki like some very interesting thing where educated people are online like, yeah, he's a true prophet. The only true prophet Kenya ni moja, and that's called Prophet Habakkuk. I can predict that shit, and at no cost to you, I'll just predict the shit, and yeah, it's gonna happen. Why? Because we just use logic. But wacha tuendelee, wacha tusikize sasa statement ya KMPDC. And to me, this goes back to ile story ya when you fly too close to the sun. Like, you've been running this successful con, and this con has been so successful, but all of a sudden you decide you want to involve doctors, and for these doctors to testify, and with that comes all this scrutiny, and this scrutiny has never been there. We've known this Owuor dude for how long? Kuna time mpaka predict, if Kenya does not pray, there's going to be an earthquake in the middle of Nairobi. Kuna earthquake ili happen. He go, the prayers have worked. That's why I prayed to God and he heard me. And but acha tusikie hii statement ya KMPDC.
In a statement, the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council has warned that unverified medical claims, especially by health professionals, may mislead vulnerable individuals and deter them from seeking proven therapies, potentially leading to worsened health outcomes, drug resistance, or loss of life. According to KMPDC, claims of healing for chronic or life-threatening conditions such as HIV and AIDS or cancer require verifiable medical documentation and cannot be accepted without independent verification by qualified healthcare professionals. The council has strongly advised the public against abandoning prescribed medical treatments for HIV and AIDS, diabetes, hypertension, epilepsy and other chronic conditions in favor of unproven alternatives, saying such actions contradict established public health guidelines.
So hii go back to ile article ilikuwa kwa The Standard earlier this week, where there's this woman alichukuliwa akapelekwa kwa crusade and she ended up passing away. And this is something that happens a lot, and because all over the world preachers are allowed to get away with a lot of stuff, so they're never sued for wrongful death. But that's what needs to happen. Najua, like if you are here peddling all these lies that you can perform miracles, which you can't perform, and then you pay some minions to go online and attack people who say that that can't happen. Why? Because like I keep saying, the laws of nature are never suspended. The laws of nature. That's the one thing that uki understand. Kumbuka kulikuwa na fala fulani kwa inaitwa ni TB Joshua. Ili dedigi, I think, I don't know kama ili dedishwa na TB. Kumbuka rai kwa heal wase nini. One day ikakuwa too sick, the laws of nature never suspended, kabaki imeenda. Ira pia ina follow the laws of nature. But if you fool enough people, especially in such a country where you can do this nonsense, you can take this prayer nonsense to Maduro. Hawezi peleka the same to Xi Jinping in China. Ambia Ira iende China. Inakuwa very bright. Hii Ira iko sijida PhD. Ilisomea Canada. Ukiambia iende China, itaenda. No. They believe in fake gods in China. Because najua ikienda China, maybe itarudi. Najua But upper Africa, you can just get away with it. No one, people are going to say this is harmless. No, it's not harmless. If it's making people be taken from hospital and these people are losing their lives, it's not harmless. This is not a joke. This needs to be treated seriously. If you are to ask me, Prophet Owuor needs to be arrested. Najua, this is conmanship at a very high level. Coming up with all these unsubstantiated, damn, jaka jo letaga shida, ma S zikikuwa mingi, unsubstantiated, damn man, cha niendelee jo, kijaka jo inaletaga shida, anatunza ishi Nairobi life yako yote, lakini hizo ma S zikikuwa mingi inakuwa ni shida. Wacha tuendelee.
Using his official X account, Preacher Owuor has defended his so-called miracle healings, saying there is extensive medical documentation spanning numerous cases, adding that they are calling on the government of Kenya through the Ministry of Health and the KMPDC to conduct a thorough formal investigations of the documented healings.
And I insist
Na wanadhibitisha
that when they have examined, they are using antibodies,
ya kwamba wakati ambapo wamechunguza pale kutumia antibodies,
then now we begin testing afresh.
alafu tunaanza.
So vile nilisema, this thing is very simple. All these people who've been healed are people who've been taking ARVs, and what has happened is hizo like the viral load imeenda very low, haiwezi kuwa detected, and now they go, that's when nasikia hii challenge ya and I insist. So let's get HIV out of the equation, ama let's get some people whose HIV viral load iko a little bit high, but we don't want to risk their lives mpaka wadedi. So we have like a limited period of time where these dudes prayers can be checked, and hasa wakona hii viral load tunaweza check hiyo viral load yao, and then after a certain time, ile maybe scientists watatuambia after this amount of time without ARVs viral load wenda juu kidogo, to check will it go up kidogo, ama through this guy and his prayer ita go back to zero. And very simple, but don't bring us some random people who been taking ARVs and viral load yao iko chini and claim it's your prayers. That can fool my grandmother who's dead, but can't fool me. But wacha tumalizia.
Anza kupima upya.
We go up to long ELISA, which tests both the kit and the patient.
Citizen TV has since confirmed that 2 doctors who were part of the crusade are under investigation by the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, MTRH. The institution's CEO, Dr. Philip Kirwa, says there is need to determine the role the medics played in the whole issue.
Skia, the roles of the medic played. So I'm hoping that these medics were paid enough to play this role, because as we can see from Maduro, this guy was supposed to save Maduro from ilikuwa Trump, and what happened? He was not able to save Maduro. You see, why? Because he's not a miracle worker. Yes, he's just using something that in Africa is very easy to use, and that's religion. And this is something that's geographical. So you can pull this nonsense here, you can pull the same nonsense in Saudi Arabia, you can pull the same nonsense in what is it called, in China. Can you pull the nonsense in US? Yes. US na kale kama adaka the angels from Kenya, kama Kenya ama angels hatukoi wataokoaje Trump. Kumbuka ile time ya Trump ilikuwa Trump ameshinda Biden, and the angels from Kenya have the message that Trump alitolewa hapo mbio ingine haijuani. So but yeah, that's what happened, man. Prophet Owuor, this is a challenge from Prophet Habakkuk. Let me give you some few patience, and let's see what happens. But I know right now what's going to happen is your followers are going to attack me and tell me all that nonsense, and it's okay. Prophet Owuor, endelea hivyo, and you can get away with it. Why? Because the president needs religion. The president needs people to be vulnerable and people to believe this. So, of course, he won't crack down on this. When you have a president like Kagame who does not care about that whole thing, Prophet Owuor, I'd want to challenge you and go to Kigali and perform some of these miracles. Otherwise, let's see. Wacha tuone vile story tabaki imehappen. Alafu pia wacha tucheki kama leo is the day that Harrison Mumia, the president of atheists, atabaki amefikishwa kotini. So God willing, Harrison atafikishwa kotini. Iko Nini.